right, quiet on the set.
All right, gotcha.
This weekend SEC football promo. Take 2. Hey there, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. It's your guy, Mr. Fingers, coming to you live from Zagnif Central.
Hey, and I'm Colin P., your brother from another. What it is, Showbiz?
I will tell you what it is, Showbiz. You guys, welcome to this week's edition of This Week in SEC Football. But before we get started, do us a little favor. If you're watching us on the YouTube, go ahead and hit the like and subscribe button if you have not done so already. We appreciate you much. And if you want to be a contributor to the show, a little something to help the cause, right down there in the bottom, in the lower third, in the crawl, rolling across your screen is the address for our Patreon page. We got some great perks for those of you that are contributors and regular viewers of the show, because we appreciate you so very, very much. So, Colin, my man, I think it's time to get this show started. What you say?
My man, let's lay the hammer down.
Oh, you know we gonna do something before 2 something. Club Shay Shay coming right at you right after this. Oh, hello, ladies, gentlemen, boys, girls.
What Bama does, what Bama do.
Have you ever felt?
Are you listening? Damn. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, ladies, gentlemen, boys and girls, how you doing? How you doing? How are you doing? How you doing? It's good to see each and every one of you. You back there, you over there, you in the corner, you hiding under the desk. Stop it. I told you I only have my shoes polished on Thursdays. Today is Tuesday. I'll see you then. Appreciate you joining one and all for this week's episode. That was a really dumb segue. Don't ask me why I did that. Appreciate y'all joining us for this week's episode of This Week in SEC Football. I, of course, am Mr. Fingers, coming to you live from Zagnif Central. That fella over there is the brother from another, the sexy mother Hubbard, the ace of the base, in the place, in your face. I am very happy to be here. It's my favorite part of the game. I have recently been placed in charge of garbage. Do you have any that requires disposal? That is the man, Colin P. from the DMV. How you doing, sir? It's getting harder and harder.
It's fabulous.
It's getting harder and longer,
man.
No, that's gonna be 20 minutes of the show. I almost tore my back trying to talk about you only as old as you feel. Let me put my old man cushion on my chair real quick.
Oh no! I thought that was a donut, man. I was gonna have to get on it.
Oh no, I ain't having no problem. Having no problems there, my friend. We still good to go. The Army did me nothing else. That still works like it's supposed to. We appreciate you, Uncle Sam. Thank you. That the GI Bill money is for me being able to buy my house. Appreciate you. And of course, I would be remiss without, if you recognize this fella right here, if you just saw him, that's because you just saw him, and that also makes no sense. But ladies and gentlemen, we welcome the man, the myth, the shout out king, Mr. Point and Smile, Mr. The Race, Mr. Tar Heels, Mr. Yeah. We Want Dallas, Mr. Godfather, to visit us. It is an honor for you to be with us. The Godfather of Let's Talk Football family, Mr. Sean Spencer. How you doing today, sir?
Always good when I'm here with you guys.
Man, we appreciate you joining us today. I'm going to go ahead and give y'all a little love. Audience, give them a little love. Y'all ain't clapping loud enough. That's good. That's much better. We appreciate y'all. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, that's enough. Well, let's go ahead and get on into it, fellas. It was a very interesting week 4 in college football all the way around. But the SEC had some very interesting stuff going on. And none other, and it starts at the top. It started all the way at the top this week. Not that we were really in any danger of losing the game, but Georgia lets Kent State put up a goodly amount of points on them after holding all their other opponents to less than 10 points a game. And at some points, it looks like it appeared that they were struggling offensively and defensively. Georgia still wins 39-22 by double digits, but failed to cover.
Oh yeah,
They failed to cover because they were favored by what was it, 45, Colin?
45. Yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah,
I mean, Sean, we're gonna come to you first because I already, Colin and I both, we watched the game. We know what we saw, so we gonna come to you first. What did you think, man?
First and foremost, let's be very honest. They scored more points than South Carolina and Oregon did against y'all combined and doubled. You know what I mean? With those 22 points. And look, they came into the game and they were not afraid. And it's surprising because they got hit right in the mouth. You see, you hit that little jet sweep to Bowers early. He takes it 70 yards down the field.
25.
And most teams, as we've seen, South Carolina, their fans left the stadium at halftime. So most teams, when you see that thing happen, you will sit there and you'll get a little nervous. But they stayed in the game. 2 early turnovers, the McConkey fumble on the punt, the interception by Stetson Bennett, which was not his fault, in my opinion. I think the receivership needs to come back and help your quarterback.
Thank you.
You know, that defender made a good play on the ball, but as a receiver, you need to, if the ball's hanging up there, at least you can do is play defense. He just sat there and let the guy catch it and then, just tackle him right there. So that wasn't on Stetson, but I do think that it kind of made you guys a little nervous because none of us had any hope that Kent State was going to do something. I follow the MAC and Kent State, and none of us had any hope that they were going to put up any kind of points. But, they were not afraid, and they came and they kept playing early. At the end of the game, the difference kind of, stretched out. But, hey, shout out to them for doing what they did. But, this is, I think, better for y'all because they weren't a team that you were scared of, but they were ready.
I just want to know. I need to get in contact with the commissioner of the MAC conference and find out exactly what flavor of Gatorade they shipped out to their teams because they have been putting in some work. I mean, Bowling Green beat Marshall last week.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like these MAC teams are, they're not, Sun Belt, and then this week the MAC teams are jumping up and doing stuff. But anyway, I say that jokingly, but I think Kirby said after the game, we needed this. And Colin and I said this at the beginning of the season. I think we had you on the show. I could be wrong. My memory runs short sometimes. But we said we hope that the boys don't get too full of themselves because they won that national championship. And they came out in the first 3 games real easy. They made it look real easy, a whole lot of pitch and catch. I mean, they made it look like they were playing sandlot ball against Oregon, and Oregon turned around and been mollywops. I think they had just beat the snot out of everybody their last 2 games. So this is what Georgia needed. They needed to know, hey, you can be beaten. You do have weak spots. You've got, there's some cracks that need to be strengthened up because the conference schedule is coming. And that was the last non-con game we have until I forget who. But it's all conference play from here, I think, until we play Georgia Tech at the end of the season.
Yeah, what surprised me the most is, even before the game, at Kirby's press conference when the reporters were telling, they were actually building up Georgia, serving that poison up and, saying how good Georgia is. And, Kirby stopped him right there and said, Kent State, that's a good football team, and he knows the coach and he basically told him straight up, it's like, we can't afford to look past these guys because, the quarterback, Colin Schlee is not a bad quarterback, and they were moving that ball like it wasn't no thing, and all it took was the 3 turnovers. That's a lot of turnovers. You can make you can score off of those, and then you score 3 times. I think they got a field goal off the first one, but those are uncharacteristic turnovers that we got. McConkey had 2 fumbles. That's unheard of, and he was shaking for some reason. But I think that was good for him too because he was being touted as one of an important piece of our offense as well, which he was doing good. But all in all, I think this was good. And it came at a time, we didn't lose the game, but it came at the perfect time, in my opinion.
Fortunately. Now, here's a question I want to ask. I want to ask both of you. I've noticed in the first game, the first 2 games that they, had Ladd McConkey running the ball a lot more and also Ladd McConkey's on special teams. And then this past weekend, Brock Bowers was our leading rusher. Do you think that is Kirby trying to open up the bag, or do you think that he's got the boys doing too much? Like, what do you think he's maybe trying to make a push for some of his guys to be in the Heisman consideration, or what? Like, what are your thoughts?
I don't think that's in his mind for the Heisman. It may be, but I don't think he's in that kind of frame of mind. But I mean, I think he actually, I think he hasn't shown his hand yet. I mean, like, I don't think he's doing this kind of stuff on purpose per se, but I mean, I don't think he's shown his hand until he gets to the SEC games. I mean, like, I don't think he's going to show what we got. And I think he's just trying things, right now to see what works.
Okay. What about you? Yeah, I was going to come to you, sir.
I think the stats are a little misleading. I mean, it is, you can definitely say it, and it is true and factual that he is the leading rusher in this game, but let's be honest, most of that was on the one run. You know what I mean? Yeah. And with it being a running back by committee in Georgia, nobody's really going to be that one premier guy. I mean, since what, Gurley? Ever since then, it's been kind of by committee, the different
Chubb. Actually, Chubb was
Chubb, right? Yeah,
Chubb was a premier guy.
Yeah. Absolutely. So but for the most part, even last year with Zaire White and all the different running backs, it's more by committee. I honestly think that was just a case of the right play call at the right time. He hit him with that jet sweep, getting Brock Bowers the ball because he's your best athlete. He's by far, in my opinion, the MVP of this team. Like you said, Anthony, you said he was. If you're going to look at the Heisman, he's a little higher. The only detractor, he is a tight end, and tight ends don't get love from big name awards. But I think what Colin was saying was correct. I don't think he's opening up right now. I think that was just there. He can do that. The Georgia players are better than the Kent State players. If you want to go pound for pound, they caught him on a sweep. He had the angle, and he just took it to the house.
Okay.
Yeah, and to your point, though. His rushing yardage was 77, so he had only 2 more rushing yards than that 75-yard run.
Right.
So,
yeah. And that leads me into my next question. What, like, the running back by committee this year to me has not been as impressive as it has been in years past. Normally at this point, the lead running back has established himself, and nobody has really come out and established himself. Now we do know Kendall was nursing a hamstring 2 weeks ago, and he was questionable. So I don't know if he's still having issues with his hamstring or whatever. But I know we have not seen enough of Branson Robinson, that monster of a freshman. We haven't seen enough of him. But who really impressed me was Deshaun Edwards. Deshaun Edwards came in and he ran hard. He hit the holes hard. He made the cuts. I think that's the guy. I'm thinking that's the guy that they need to go with as their lead running back. I mean, if Kendall's not going to be able to get it done. But of course, Nathan Snell in the comments. Hello, Nate. Thank you for joining the show, sir. Appreciate you.
Good game last week, guys. They had a great game.
Yeah, they did. They hung in there. They definitely hung in there. They're making big strides. I think
as far as your running backs, I think it's a sum of all the parts. You know what I mean? I think they're better in the more they are. You know what I mean? So because it takes pressure off of Stetson Bennett, because now you have a consistent, healthy, fresh running back coming in there getting more yards. And then what that also does is it makes sure those guys aren't, torn up when they get into the league. You look at Sony Michel, who's been bouncing around teams, but he's always really solid where he is. And that's because he wasn't the lone guy when he was in Georgia. So I think that's going to be
for Nick Chubb too.
Right. And James Cook.
Nick is a beast. Chubb's been in the league now, 5 years?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think,
And he's still there. I mean, the Browns might not be where they wanted to be, but Chubb has been like a lone shining star in a galaxy on a team full of Browns.
with Kareem Hunt, who came from the MAC, came from Toledo.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that shouts out that, and that's the best two-headed combination in the league. So,
100%.
Fine talent.
100%. I don't really have. I mean, but to allowing, like you said, if you look at the stats, the stats, what you saw on the field, the stats really did not support, so to speak, because Georgia still I'll just call it, they outstatted Kent State. But again, that thing that I talked about, that arm tackling, you listen, Chris Rodriguez is back this weekend for Kentucky. Okay. Now we're not playing Kentucky this weekend, but you can't play Kentucky and arm tackle. We're playing in Lexington too. You can't arm tackle Chris Rodriguez. That's just not happening. That kind of thing's not happening. The secondary, this is probably the least efficient the secondary has been so far this season. My personal thoughts. Just my personal thoughts. I mean, they were able to turn. I mean, fortunately, they were playing a team where they were able to turn it on in the fourth quarter, shut it down, and go ahead and still be able to cruise to a victory. But they didn't look good doing it. It did not look good. I mean, so that's just my 2 cents. So my question from here, and then we're gonna move on to our next segment is are the Dogs still the team to beat? And Sean, I'm gonna come to you first, sir. And I believe Sean is frozen, so we'll go ahead and go to you, Colin.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, we're the team to beat until somebody beats us. I mean, we're number one in the top 25. So I mean, I think this was just a speed bump. But I mean, you said that just a minute ago. We can't have 3 turnovers. Against even a South Carolina or a Vanderbilt the way they're playing.
Right.
And just what would have happened? Theoretically speaking, is I mean, if we had 3 turnovers against Vanderbilt, I mean, we were just lucky enough that we were playing a team that we could actually pull away from. But it definitely was not characteristic by any means. And like you said, the secondary was exposed as well as other other facets of our team, defense and offense, but there definitely things we need to work on. Like again, Kansas State no slouch. It wasn't necessarily your normal run of the mill cupcake, But yeah, I mean, I think a lot of teams are finding themselves right now, and it's becoming more of a, like I said before, we are the team to beat, until somebody knocks us off, until we get that one loss. So I mean, that's my opinion there.
All right, Sean, coming to you, sir. What are your thoughts? Are the Dogs still the team to beat in the conference and in general?
I mean, you have to. I mean, you're the national champs. You're defending national champs. I mean, you're going to get everybody's best shot. I mean, perfect example, Kent State this week. And, you got the target on your back. But as a champion, that's what it is. You're a fighting champ. Go ahead and take everybody's best shot. If you are the best, you'll go through this and you'll win it. You know what I mean? This is a wake-up call this week. But at the end of the day, the way Stetson is playing, Brock Bowers is one of the best players in the country. And the defense is playing pretty alive. They got a little exposed a little bit, but not that much. But I think they'll be fine. I think they're definitely the team to beat. Team everybody's chasing.
Okay, so essentially what you're saying is this.
Ain't nobody worried about no Georgia.
People need to be worried. I think Georgia might need to. It's not necessarily people not being worried about y'all, but y'all are gonna. Just pump your brakes. That's all I'm gonna say.
No, real talk. I just love playing that clip because I love my guy Funny Man. But real talk, Tennessee is, what happens every time Tennessee goes 3-0, the 3-0, 4-0, the hype train comes out. Kentucky's still 4-0, and they're getting Chris Rodriguez back, and that's a key cog in their offense. And you got an Auburn team that's kind of middle of the road, but still fighting for some type of respect and possibly their coach's job. So we shall see. We shall see.
Yeah, one last opinion for both of you guys. So I mean, the top 25 came out, and everybody, after the weekend, after we struggled with Kent State, and everybody was asking, should Georgia actually be number one after? Even though we won, we struggled against Kent State. Were you expecting kind of a shakeup at the top 3? Were you guys? Not really.
No. Why?
No, not really.
I mean, that's what I was reading around. Me neither, but I'm just saying, like, they were talking about Ohio State jumping. What people talk. I was just wondering what your thoughts were on that.
Yeah. Nathan, why you always come on here with this foolishness, Nathan? Did you not see Oklahoma lose to Kansas State again, and Texas A&M squeak by Alabama, and already have Appalachian State? The three teams you have on here, the one team to beat that I will give, even though I hate to say it, is the Crimson Tide. Oklahoma got some ways to go with a new coach, and Jimbo Fisher, we don't know. Anyway, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to step on y'all for that.
Alabama's not the team to beat because Alabama's not the national championship. Just like with you, Nathan, Michigan would have been the team to beat because they're the Big Ten champion. Now you didn't get it done, but you look good. You look good.
Very good.
Yeah, I got to defend you on that. I see what he's doing in the comments. I got you.
Oh, I see what he's doing too, but I'm gonna put him in check. And listen, I'm not this. I didn't bring my Uno cards down. I don't feel like playing. All right, we're gonna go ahead and jump in and give a shout out to our sponsor, our guy, all the way out of Arizona. Check him out. We'll be right back. And that is our guy, Sid Swinton, all the way out of Arizona. Squid Rips Cards. He's on TikTok twice a week. Check him out. He's also one of the co-hosts of Let's Talk Fantasy Football and Let's Talk Football in the mornings during the off season. Make sure you check him out. Every now and again, he pops on another one of the Let's Talk family. I did it again. I've been doing so good for 2 weeks. There's the horn right there. Mr. Fingers gets the horn for the Fluff. The Let's Talk Football family of shows. So that hit him up, and he's at Squid Rips Cards on TikTok, at Squid Rips Cards, I believe, also on Twitter, and he also has a Squid Rips Cards Facebook. Check him out today. All right, our next game we're going to talk about is Auburn. Auburn wins, but do they? We know that Auburn, it took an overtime for them to pull this off against Missouri. Now, Missouri's not a slouch, but Missouri's not a team that Auburn, if Auburn is who they're supposed to be, should be struggling with. So let me just give you the rundown real quick, and then I'll hand it over to both of you to get your commentary. After halftime, neither team scored for the rest of regulation. It was a 14-14 tie going into half. Neither team scored a touchdown, a safety, a drop kick, which I think is a drop kick's worth 2 points, if I'm not mistaken. Nothing for all of the rest of regulation. Nathaniel Pete fumbles a potential game-winning touchdown in overtime.
Yeah.
Both quarterbacks were moderately okay. Robbie Ashford was 12-18 and 127 yards with 0 tutties. I borrowed that from you, Sean. I like that term, the 0 tutties.
Tom Brady in the Gronk in the Super Bowl.
Right. So, I mean, there were a couple of bright spots. Missouri had Nathaniel Pete at 110 yards rushing. Dominic Lovett had 110 yards receiving. When you got two guys, one receiving, one rushing, both of them are over 100 yards, you think one of them would have a touchdown. Neither of them had a touchdown. So this is where I'm going to hand this over to you guys. What did you think about this game? This was I didn't get to see this one. I did get to watch some of the highlights. But what did you think about this game? And of course, Colin, I'm gonna come to you first. What are your thoughts on this game? And Auburn? Do you think that Auburn is halfway decent, or are they just muddling their way through it and lucking their way into these wins?
Honestly, I think they're muddling their way through it because I mean, like this game was, like you said, it was 14 points at half, and it's just, I mean, it makes me wonder how that locker room is. With the coaching situation there. I don't know. I mean, like you said, hold on one second. What Ashford had. I mean, there's no. I mean, like passing yards. I'm saying, Brian Cook had 179 yards and an interception, and Ashford only had 127 yards. There was no rushing in the game. I mean, I just think Auburn's playing because they're playing. I mean, honestly, I don't know. It's just I think the coaching situation is messing them up. Because, like I said, they should have beaten Missouri a little bit better than they did.
And then you, Sean, when I'm coming your way, what are your thoughts on this game? It sounded to me like you, Colin, you saying they're playing sandlot ball. They're just making up plays and hoping to
I
stick.
think going through motions, yeah. I mean, honestly.
All right, Godfather, what you got for me, sir?
Great game. I watched it. I thought it was a great game. Auburn jumped out to an early lead. They got, you talk about Robbie Ashford. It's his first start of his career. Quick, mobile guy. He can throw the ball, but definitely relies on his legs. They tried it. It does. I can understand where you guys would say it would be a backyard. And it's kind of like, my dad always told me the most dangerous man is a desperate man.
Oh, yeah.
We can all agree Brian Hardison is very desperate, so I think he's pulling out all the stops. You got Ashford coming in here with his first start. Tank Bigsby, he looks like he's running like a man possessed. Early in that game, he was running hard, early and often, always downhill, one cut and go. Like I said, they jumped out to an early lead, but Missouri, hey, they're not backing down. This is an SEC game, so they definitely showed up, came back to tie it up at 14, went to halftime, and the second half was a defensive battle, back and forth. And to your point about the backyard, you got Harsin calling out double passes, you know what I mean, that ended up getting blown up, but then the wide receiver ended up, improvising and making something happen. But they're really just trying. And yeah, it's easy, I think, to say that they dodged a bullet because Nathaniel Pete, after Auburn got the field goal first to put it up 17-14, Nathaniel Pete on that play, I mean, he took it off tackle to the left, and he had a touchdown.
Yeah,
he had a touchdown. He tried to stick the ball out, and it's just unfortunate that it fumbled. And I feel for the guy. I mean, he had 20 carries. He had over 100 yards. He was balling. He was doing everything he needed to do in this game, but unfortunately, that's just the way the cookie crumbles, and they weren't able to get the job done. But like Delilah said on the show we were on last week, a win is a win is a win is a win.
Oh, yeah.
And Harsin, he needs a W. He somehow got it done. They might have found their quarterback and Robbie Ashford. He's got some wheels, but we will see. We will see. Harsin, I know, is doing one of these numbers as he potentially survived another week.
Yeah.
Like Eddie Murphy said, "Who that was close."
Yeah.
But the thing in Missouri, it wasn't the first shot they had to win it because they missed the field goal at the end of regulation too. So it's not like they didn't have the opportunity to win. So they had a couple of missed opportunities there, and that's one of the things with any sports competition, but especially in SEC football, you can't afford to miss any opportunities. I'm put this question out here. Nate asked what the question was. I'm gonna put it out for you, Nate. I'll let you answer in the comments because we're gonna move on to our next game. But the question was, did you think that do we think that Brian Harsin is just kind of throwing stuff against the wall and seeing what sticks, kind of a la backyard, like backyard football? So I'll let you answer that one in the comments. We'll post your answer up in the comments as we move along. Next game. We know that the Volunteers have struggled playing the Gators for the last 17, 18 years. As a matter of fact, they only had one win against the Gators in 17 years, and I think that last one was like 2006 or 7, something like that.
Yeah,
so 17, 18 years. So it's been a while. No, I'm sorry. It's been recent. It's been more like 4 or 5 years ago, but that was the only one they won since 2005. So but the Gators managed to get it. I'm sorry, the Volunteers. I don't know why the Gators are just on my brain today. What's going on?
You haven't said Gators this much and never. You don't ever say the Gators.
No, I don't. But the Volunteers got it done playing in front of a crazy crowd in front of in Neyland Stadium in Knoxville in that gaudy orange. But let's just call this for what this was. This is another one I had to catch highlights. The only game I got to watch all weekend was the Georgia game. Da, da, da. But looking at the highlights
this week in Georgia football,
right? Well, it was only when I got to watch. I had other stuff I had to do on Saturday. Sorry, man. And that's a rare thing for me on a Saturday. But anyway, both quarterbacks were playing like their lives depended on it. I mean, both of them had what I would call career days, career games. I mean, hell, Richardson threw for 453 yards. Good God. So, again, missed opportunity. Richardson had that fumble in the fourth quarter, and that was the score. Tennessee was able to score off of that.
Yeah.
But Sean, I'm going to come to you first, sir. So give me your 2 cents plus tax on this.
What a game. What a game. 1 point in the fourth. Looked like the thing was over. Florida's down 2 touchdowns. Florida comes storming back with Richardson going deep. And then obviously one of the most amazing two-hand touch, no, not two-hand touch, but onside kick snags of a ball you'll ever see, where the Florida guy reaches out there, grabs it, brings it in. And you're like, oh my goodness, can it happen? Can Richardson bring them all the way back? Had an opportunity. Funny, he threw a pass, I think second down, that was almost picked, but number 44 dropped it. Ended up redeeming himself, getting the interception that changed the game. In my opinion, I've told you guys, Tennessee, in my opinion, is the truth. I've said that. I think they're fast-paced, up-tempo offense led by Hendon Hooker is. I mean, they're a force to be reckoned with. You know, like you said, they both had career days. In my opinion, Richardson has this absolute, ungodly speed. I mean, this guy can get around that corner, and if you don't get the angle on him, he's going to be gone. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I love that. I love that about him. But he is still a little backyard, and they do run a lot of, QB runs and design stuff where it's more just to him. And as you saw in that game, some of those plays were the difference. You know what I mean? Some of those where he got jammed up or something like that happened. Hendon Hooker to me is a more put together, I don't want to say professional, but maybe a more experienced, more well-oiled machine than Richardson. He runs that offense.
Well-rounded and able to run the offense. I think just the impression that I get from watching Richardson is he came up in a system in high school where he was the running back first and the quarterback second.
Yeah.
But
and then you got to remember last year with the 2 quarterback system, they basically said whoever makes the most plays gets the start. So all he was going to do was run because, I mean, that line wasn't great. The coaching wasn't great in Florida. You know what I mean? So,
yeah,
he has to rely on it, which it stinks. But at the same time, this is his 3rd career game with both a passing and a rushing touchdown. I mean, the guy's playing balls to the wall, and this game could have gone either way. But that Tennessee, man, they look like they're legit, man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was just going to say I'm coming your way.
I think Richardson needed this game. I mean, I think everybody was waiting for this game to happen, and it's unfortunate they didn't win. But I think, in my opinion, maybe Florida's still trying to figure the defense out, maybe possibly. They had opportunities, the interceptions, the balls thrown at them, that kind of stuff. Maybe secondary needs a little work. Richardson, this was a game that Richardson needed. I mean, he did. I mean, he balled out, and there was just the turnovers, played a huge role. But this was definitely it was a great game. I actually watched it.
Yeah. So. I mean, you got 2 quarterbacks combining for close to over 800 yards passing between the 2 of them. Each of them threw two passing touchdowns and ran for 2 touchdowns apiece. And then you had 3 receivers that added up for 350 some odd yards. You had 200-yard receivers on the Tennessee side. Justin Shorter had 155. Ricky Pearsall had 103. And then Brew McCoy on Tennessee had 102 yards and a touchdown. It's just insane. It's just one of those games that you watch. It's almost this game. Watching this game, what this reminded me of? Was it Chiefs Bills where they went back and forth? And was it the AFC Championship with the Bills? Not the Bills, the Bengals, the Chiefs and the Bills. Where they just went back and forth, and neither team backed down. It just came down to who was ahead when the clock went 000.
Yeah.
So unfortunately for Florida, it puts them in a position where now they're playing looking up because they have 2 conference losses. So unless the whole conference just blows up in the next 8 weeks, it's going to be a hard sell for them to get into the conference championship, let alone get into.
I think being close in this game is going to help. I don't think their record is indicative of the team that they have. I mean, look, they're led by their linebackers, Brian Cox Jr. Bernie had 2 sacks, 2.5 tackles for loss. Like, their defense is great. I just think Tennessee is that much better. And I understand what Tennessee does and mustard and throwing and all that stuff. But I think with this being the next year in that system, that Josh Heupel system, he has his quarterback. I mean, how many years? I mean, you guys, Georgia has that right now where they have their quarterback who has his coach and his OC. That's what they have over there in Tennessee for another year. And with that up-tempo offense, I really think it's not as much that Florida is bad because Napier is getting them boys ready. And they were toe-to-toe with these guys. I just think Tennessee is that much better this year. So
and
we'll
see Tennessee has been slowly every year getting better and better, and year by year. And I was, I've been wondering when they're going to hit that the goal they set. So I mean, it looks like they're on the way. I mean, like they look really good. So
yeah, for the longest time, for the longest time, the West just kind of dominated the conference, but it looks like the East is starting to rise back into prominence. We're gonna move on to our next game before we get into our special segment today. Arkansas and Texas A&M, and oh boy, talk about a squeaker. You know what I just realized about that clip? It sounds like Debo is passing gas as he is riding his bike. I might have to find another clip to use for squeaker. But Arkansas visits Texas A&M. We know what the final score was, 21-23. Again, Texas A&M with the not putting points on the board, which almost cost them the game. But their defense, again, we said that a couple of weeks ago. The defense came up real big in the second and third quarter, just kept Arkansas off the board. Colin, I'm going to come to you first with your 2 cents on this.
Yeah, no, I watched this game too. I liked it. I enjoyed this game too. I like KJ Jefferson. He didn't have a bad game. He had 171 yards and 2 touchdowns. But like you said, it all came down to the end of the game. It was just back and forth. Jimbo. I mean, I don't know how this. How do you guys think this is going to affect Jimbo Fisher losing this game? It shouldn't affect him at all.
No, Jimbo got the dub.
No, he got the W on this one.
I'm sorry. Pittman. Sam Pittman.
It's gonna be interesting because didn't we? I think you gotta go back and look at the tape, but I don't know. Like Arkansas.
I think we picked Arkansas.
I think we picked Arkansas to win this game.
Yeah. After the App State game, I think we all kind of were like, Arkansas is Texas A&M. We didn't think was doing it. So honestly, and this game started that way. KJ Jefferson ran down the field on them. A couple big splash plays early, and before you know it, it's 14-0. You know what I mean? And they actually had Texas A&M backed up into their own end zone in their own side of the field when my guy A-Chain, the guy who had a great game against Alabama for Texas A&M, breaks off this big 30-some-odd yard run, flips the field, and then all of a sudden you get some momentum. Now all of a sudden you got it's 14-7, and this thing is changing. But still, KJ Jefferson drives down the field, tries to go into the end zone, goes over the top, fumbles the ball that gets returned, and we have a situation like what's the quarterback? Caleb Williams last year, where he takes the ball from the running back and ends up running. That's what this guy does. This guy intercepts it, takes it. He's going to get tackled, hands the ball off to Richardson, comes all the way down the sideline. And by the time you look up, it's 14-14. I mean, this was a barn burner back and forth. You talk about the defenses. They played amazing. And shout out to, we all know about Bumper Pool, man. Shout out to Drew Sanders. 5.5 sacks for Arkansas, tied for first in the country. I mean, I didn't know anything about this guy. You know how much I study up into all that.
Out of nowhere. You know like they say about Randy Orton. Out of nowhere.
Right. But both defenses played out of their mind. But one thing I did notice, and this is going to be something I think is going to rear its ugly head a little bit later in the year. KJ Jefferson went off early. We saw he got over 100 passing, over 100 on the ground. One thing I noticed later in the game, especially in the second half, Texas A&M started running 3-man fronts and just putting everybody deep and saying, beat us with your arm.
Exactly.
And that started to slow down Arkansas's offense. Now, Arkansas was still gashing them in the middle, but they weren't able to finish it off deep in the red zone. They had an opportunity at the end, weren't able, missed the kick, and I mean that's all she wrote. I think Jimbo's going to be fine, and this is going to help Jimbo, I think, get them focused because none of us thought, and I know none of the main, analysts and telecasters thought that Arkansas was going to lose this one.
Yeah. So you said he missed the kick. You mean this one right here? I mean, it just looks so pretty, and then bonk. Oh man, I hate to laugh, but I understand. I mean, we've seen so many field goals go that way when it's like, please, it's like you're watching the coach lean and watch it like this, and of course the double donk in Chicago and all those kinds of things. But
that's the worst position. You could be the winner, you could be the loser. That's all on you.
Yeah,
100%, 100%.
But it's also that late in the game, Arkansas, they couldn't get it together towards the end. Even before that field goal, they had a couple costly penalties and they had a fumble snap on third down that totally stopped their momentum. And that's something I think we need to look at deeper in the season to see, once they get tested, are they going to fold or can KJ Jefferson and that potent offense keep moving and get the W's?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to move on to our next segment, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. This is a new segment that we have added to this week in SEC football. We will be doing one of these every week representing a school within the conference. These videos will also be posted individually on YouTube and on other social media platforms. And also, just to show we have no bias whatsoever for the SEC, we will be doing a second video from another conference as well that will also be posted on YouTube. For time's sake, we're not going to put them both on this show because it's the SEC show anyway, so we talk about the SEC. But this week, of course, we're going to start it off with our beloved University of Georgia Dogs, and here is the tradition of ringing the chapel bell. You guys check this out. Well, first, I had to make that go away, and then I had to hit the play button. Hey there, ladies and gentlemen, it's your guy, Mr. Fingers, coming to you from Zagnif Central. On This Week in SEC Football, we're starting a brand new segment called This Week in SEC Football Tradition, where we bring you a little something about the traditions and all of the things that make us love the teams in our favorite conference. And of course, we could not kick this thing off without talking about Colin and my beloved dogs. Ladies and gentlemen, this week's segment, the ringing of the UGA Chapel Bell. Hope you enjoy. Go Dogs. Since 1892, Athens, Georgia has been home to the Georgia Bulldogs. It's quite possible that the team's rallying cry of Go Dogs is one of the most widely recognized sports slogans in the country. Over the course of 130 years, the team has seen traditions come and go. But outside of the team's beloved mascot, Uga, none can be said to be more poignant than the ringing of the chapel bell. Nestled in the northern portion of campus, within a few paces of the school's famous I'm going to art, have to say, it looked like this video is frozen too. I'm having problems playing my video today too, Sean. You had problems with yours, and I'm having problems with mine. I don't know what's going on with that. The stream won't let us be great. You guys can check that video out on YouTube on our Zagnif Productions Zagnif 1 page. We'll figure out how to make this work. It was too big to put in the. Are we all frozen, or is it just me? Okay, there we go. We unfroze. All right, I think we're all unfrozen now. There we go. There we go. Yeah, I was looking at. I was like, "Is that?" I hope it's not like that on the stream. And then I looked. I looked, and I was stuck on the screen like this.
Right. I looked over and said, "Oh snap!"
It's like, okay. So we're gonna keep it moving. We'll keep it moving. We'll figure out that for the next show. But it's a great video. Check it out on our Zagnif Productions Zagnif 1 YouTube page.
Is it on there right now?
Yeah, it's up right now.
Can you play the YouTube video from YouTube?
Let's see.
So maybe it'll work better on his phone
I
than YouTube.
have not figured out how to do that yet from here. I know I have the ability to share a screen, but for some reason with the Mac, there's a big difference between the Mac and the PC. And it's like, you can't do this on Google Chrome. You can't do this on Safari. I'm like, those are only two browsers I got. So we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. But it's on the YouTube page. Y'all definitely will check it out. We'll post it on the This Week in SEC page for you guys to check out. So we're gonna go around the rest of the conference. I won't use the name of that other show, but I played the horn and we said around, so you figured it out. Everybody else pretty much handled business the way that we thought they would. Oh Lord, where am I? I lost my place here. Bowling Green went to Starkville and got blown out. I'm not really disappointed in Bowling Green. I wasn't expecting much. They scored a touchdown in the first half, touchdown in the second half. Mississippi State handled business. Sean, you got anything you want to throw in on that? Let me take this thing off of your face here so people can see you. There we go.
Hey, Will Rogers, another huge game, 6 touchdowns, over 400 yards, almost 40 completed passes. I mean, we know how he does. 5 different wide receivers scored. Ducking had 2, Griffin, Price, Wally, and Calvin all had a touchdown. I mean, this is a typical game for that air raid offense, Mike Leach. We know what Will Rogers can do. Mississippi State, this is what they should have done in this ball game, and I'm proud they got the W.
All right, Colin, I'm gonna come to you with the next one. Ole Miss, 35-8 victor over Tulsa at home. Tulsa is a 2-2 team, but Tulsa is not a 2-2. Tulsa is not your typical 2-2 team. They're not a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde team. They're another one of those teams that, much like Kansas State did to the local Big Brother college football team here, will jump up and hit you in the face. So what you got on this one for me, sir?
Yeah, exactly. And if you look at the run game on the Ole Miss, I mean, they had 2 of the running backs, Judkins and Dart, they over 100 yards rushing. Judkins has 2 touchdowns. And then, stat-wise, I mean, both their running backs, Jackson and Anderson, had upwards of 77 to 76 yards. So it looks to be more of a rushing game for both teams. But yeah, you're right. Tulane's not no slouch, but it was actually, I thought Ole Miss would probably beat them a little bit more than they did. But it was a good game there.
Yeah. So we're gonna move on to the next game on the slate. Now, this is the one that I want to talk about specifically because we got to play these guys coming up here soon. Kentucky welcomes the Huskies of Northern Illinois. And 31-23. They get by. I say get by, but the saving grace for Kentucky was they held Northern Illinois scoreless in the third quarter. Other than that, the game was pretty evenly balanced for the other 3 quarters. I think this one I want to speak on. The reason I'm talking about this is because, like I mentioned, this coming Saturday, Chris Rodriguez is back. He's going to have fresh legs because he hasn't played. I mean, he's still going to have to. I don't know if his suspension means he couldn't practice with the team or not, but he's coming in with fresh legs. He doesn't have 4 weeks worth of game wear and tear on him, and I think he's going to be coming to knock heads. So, Sean, what you got on this one? Because I know you're definitely a Will Levis guy.
Yeah, no, he's as advertised, absolutely. And we saw he got over 300 yards, and being able to do this without Rodriguez, was definitely a good thing. It helps his draft stock. Now, I don't want us to sleep on the backup running back, Kavasier Smoke.
Oh,
All
no.
right, when this game was tied early in the game in Northern Illinois, shout out to Nicholas Rosario, the Huskies can play some ball.
Yeah.
All right, and they sometimes their coach holds them back a little bit, but look. That defense, not in the whole game, but early in that game, was playing hungry. They were playing kind of like Kent State, ready to go. But Kavasier Smoke changed that field position, getting Kentucky out of their own red zone, and gave Will Levis some room to breathe. He was able to pick apart that defense. It was 31-14 going into the fourth, and Northern Illinois came back in this game, helped do it, but that defense let them down. Northern Illinois gave up over 300 on the ground, and you can't do that and expect to win. So I'm glad that even without Rodriguez, Kentucky has been still moving the ball on the ground, but they are led unmistakably by Will Levis. He is as advertised, and I'm eager to see what he can do in the coming weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Yeah, I mean, he got 4 touchdowns, 303 yards. Yeah, just picking that defense apart.
Yep. And Colin, I'm gonna come to you with the next one. South Carolina pulls out a win at home. Granted, it's against Charlotte from Conference USA, but they win and they win big, 36 points. Again, we know this is Charlotte, but do you think that this game would be a shot in the arm for South Carolina, give them a little bit of a confidence boost, or do you think when they get back in the conference play, it'll be back to business as usual?
It's hard for me to say, but I mean, it's always. I mean, they look good. Of course, it was Charlotte. Maybe this will give them a little bit a shot in the arm, like you said. You maybe a little bit more confidence, but I'm afraid it's going to be more business as usual. Because I mean, I still need Rattler. I mean, Rattler only had 187 yards, against Charlotte, and no touchdowns. But it was led by Lloyd with 169 yards and 3 touchdowns. So it was a running game, but Rattler still needs. I still need to see more from Rattler.
Mm-hmm.
I do, but are we going to get more from him at this point? We're 4 weeks in. If we're not getting it from him now, when are we going to get it? That's the question.
I think he is who we thought he was. I don't
exactly.
think he was ever that good from the beginning.
No, I mean, I think he was falsely advertised.
Yeah.
Well, Mr. Spencer Godfather, I'm coming to you with the next one. The Tigers seem to be on a roll down in the Bayou. They're 3-1 now, and then this is the team that everybody was like, was Brian Kelly going to be able to make this happen? And he had a couple of big gaffes. He kind of looked like a goof with the false accent and then the clowning with the guys on the recruiting trips and things like that. But do you think he's righted the ship, or should we just pump the brakes a little bit because it was the Lobos of New Mexico?
So both can be right. Because yes, we need to pump the brakes because this was the daggone Lobos in New Mexico. And look, they're 2-2, but they're not doing too great this year. But at the same time, I mean, going back to that video that you like to play of Brian Kelly, where he says, well, maybe we can't play as bad as we have played, but who knows? It's my first game. I think some people like to be coddled and told, oh, it's going to be okay. And some people like a swift kick in the rear end and say, hey, get off your butt and make it happen. We've seen ever since that first game that they barely lost, we've seen that they have been lights out from here on out, 3-1. I don't know that we picked 3-1 because I think I picked 2-2 at this point. But look, LSU's playing. They're playing together now. Jaden Daniels got out of Arizona State, is over here moving and grooving. Noah Cain from Penn State, almost 100 yards on the ground. So we know what this team can do. We know that they do have talent. But again, pump your brakes. This is New Mexico. So
yeah, I couldn't agree more. Yeah. I mean, that is kind of interesting. You mentioned Brian Kelly, how did he actually say that to get a rise out of his team? Said, it's my first year, can we get in? I mean, I don't know if we can get any worse, but maybe we can, that kind of stuff. That's kind of like, I mean, you're down in your team, well, maybe we need to play better for coach, that kind of stuff. But you never know. Maybe it did. I mean, of course, we do need to pump our brakes for New Mexico, but yeah.
And look, I want to also say something. What happened after that first game? Him and his number one receiver split part ways. They've been winning without. Sometimes you need to take a distraction off the team and things change. We know he was a great athlete and a great player, but if he's a distraction, maybe that makes a difference. I don't know. We'll see how it goes down the line, but good start.
Yeah, 100%. And now this next one, the last one on the slate, there's not a whole lot to say. We've been saying all season that they're coming back for the revenge tour because they don't like to lose. Now the coach hates losing national championships. They're not the Bama that they were in days past, but they showed up and did what they were supposed to do. And as my illustrious co-host likes to say,
and your Bama does what Bama do.
That's exactly what they did. 55-3 over Vanderbilt. We didn't project Vanderbilt winning this game anyway, but Bryce does what Bryce does.
We did project him to be 3-1.
We did. We got that far.
Yep,
we got that far. So good job. Good job, Hancock. But they did what they do. They continue to roll on, like the laundry detergent that they are. And so God, I was just looking at this. South Carolina's also got 2 losses also. So the chips are starting to fall by the side of the road in the East and also in the West. So
Yeah.
the herd is starting to thin itself out a little bit. So that's where we are with that. But yeah, we figured Alabama was going to do that, and that's exactly what they did. So there's really no surprises here. There's nothing to evaluate. They did what they always do. So
I thought we got some people that showed out. I mean, number one issue that I think we had about Alabama is that we didn't know who was going to be the next guy to step up at wide receiver, and I think Brooks took that step. Now again, This was Vandy, and Vandy wasn't, didn't pose much of a threat, but that was an issue that you guys talked about it. When the big complaint, both their wide receivers were out, and they're crying about this. Well, now they're both the wide receivers are in the league. They need somebody else to step up at wide receiver, and then you got McClellan at running back. A lot of people thought it would be Jair Gibbs, but McClendon taking over these snaps and taking over that role is something. Saban wants guys. He wants his guys. We know about the defense. We know about the quarterback. Now you got a receiver. Now we got a running back. Yeah. And as we're starting to get close to the year, this is going to be big.
Yeah, and also you saw a little more with Burton. Burton being more involved. So I mean, this is a game that had much involvement. So
yeah, that's been a big question too, because especially in the Georgia sports groups, they are just running Burton in the ground. It's like this kid left Georgia to catch for 30 yards. Like,
Well, I mean, he had 94, and his average was 23.5. So I mean, like, pretty good. I mean, it was Vandy, but I mean, we can't use that excuse all the time because Vandy's actually better than they have been.
Well,
right.
Yeah, and I mean, look, and when you have Will Anderson getting almost 3 sacks in the game, I mean, your offense ain't gonna be able to do much. You know what I mean? So
exactly,
100% true. 100% true there. Well, gentlemen, that brings us to our final segment of the show where we close things out, ladies and gentlemen, the 2-minute warning. You like that? You like that? You like that? I had to make sure when I did the graphic, I put the This Week in SEC logo over because the NFL. I didn't want nobody coming after me because we don't want to have to owe them whatsoever. But the 2-minute warning is our final segment of the show, ladies and gentlemen. That's where we share anything that we have on our minds to share with our viewing audience. And Godfather, as our esteemed guest, anytime you come on, we always let you have the first word, sir.
End of the day, football is football. You gotta button up this chin strap or squeeze it up or whatever, put the mouthpiece in. And, regardless of what any of the analysts or any people that are potentially in our positions might say, there's nothing that can measure when this whistle blows and the first snap goes and you're going one-on-one. And that's how you see situations like the game where you guys played with Georgia, with us at Notre Dame, with how poor they played this year. And then they came out and showed us that they are still a formidable force with that team. And just now they're 2-2. So you've seen what the Sun Belt's done, App State, all these teams that people are saying, oh, well, good, we'll give you a little pat on the back, but you're not really a contender. They're shutting all of it up this year. And I love that. The MAC coming out and playing. That's what it needs. And it's going to still take a monumental, crazy, dominant win for us to not look at them like UCF or Cincinnati a year ago, or Houston. But pay attention. The transfer portal, the NILs, all these guys going to big name schools and then realizing they're in the 5th best player and everybody that's on the team has been a state All-American. Then they want to go somewhere where they get play time. I think we're going to see the world being shocked a lot this year. And I'm here for all of it. So definitely football's football, guys.
Yeah, everybody has said the one thing that whether you hate it or you love it, everybody can agree to a person that NIL has changed the entire landscape of college football, period.
That and the transfer portal. Yep.
And that transfer portal, especially got Justin Fields. You know what? A lot of people clowned you when you left, and you might be struggling in Chicago, but 20 years from now, they'll look at you and say that you were a pioneer.
I don't know. Look at the SEC. Jackson Dart, the fact that he's dominating all those quarterbacks in the SEC, and he is one of those that's under the radar. the fact that he's dominating the way he is, man, the transfer portal helps people. JT Daniels, Slovis in that first game. Like this is what it's all about. And I'm here for it. I love it.
100%. 100%. Well, Colin, what do you have for us for the 2-minute warning, sir?
Man, I was just I'm going to add on to what Sean said. I think a lot of these cupcake are normally labeled cupcake games are going to kind of slowly fall to the wayside, like you said. With the NIL and the transfer portal to get that talent they've been longing for so long. These guys are being able to shine and make a name for themselves and be known. Have their name known. Yeah, I'm just excited. It's getting in the middle of approaching the middle of the season. We're going to get into the meat of the schedule and get to see some exciting games. Hopefully not too exciting, but some exciting games. But
I am too, but it also makes me sad because we're almost college football just started and we're almost already to the middle of the season.
That's the way it always goes, man. It goes by so fast. Basketball is starting in a little bit and they won't finish playing ball till like May. Hockey's going to start not long after basketball and it's going to run up into the spring. Baseball started back in March and now it's just starting to roll around to the playoff. But football is like, and then it's gone. So I'm excited for it, but I'm here for it. Now let me
April to January. April to January is a little too long time.
Yeah,
because April's the spring game. That's when it starts.
Yeah. Well, let me run this. Let me run this by you guys, just to both what both of you said for the 2-minute warning, and then I'm gonna give you mine, and we'll get out of here. Do you think that we're going to see more as transferring around and hopping around, and then the guys getting the NIL deals? Do you think that we're going to see a little more parity in college ball over time? Maybe not now next year, but let's say 5-10 years down the road. Do you think we'll start to see these conferences start to even out, and there won't be any more like dominant teams? It'll just be everybody beating the crap out of each other, king of the hill type deal.
Nah, because you got boosters. You got markets. You got teams that are perennially good that people grow up their entire lives wanting to go to and this and that, and they don't even look elsewhere. You know what I mean? You look at a lot of these guys that have transferred and gone to other places. It's because they've been in a situation where there's a ceiling where they are at. You know what I mean? Be it they're not going to be higher than the second string, or they're not going to be able to get but like 5, targets a game, or they might only get like third down on defense or something like that. Now you have situations where, these guys can transfer out later in, but there's still going to be people that are going to be like you guys, go Dogs. All I've wanted to do is be a dog my entire life, and I'm going to go all the way up to the same thing with Alabama, Kate in Michigan, people that just grow up in Michigan always want to go. They're always going to want to go to those places. Now, do they stay there all 4 years? Yeah, that's where everything is going to get, wishy-washy. But as long as you have a Saban, Kirby Smart, you know what I mean? These coaches that are staying here, Jimbo, that are staying here at their locations and making a difference and bringing people and having people wanting to come, they're gonna those top tier places are gonna continue to be top tier.
Yeah, those recruits are going to continue to have success.
Right. Okay. I just wanted to throw that out there because I know a lot of fans of the teams will be pissed off if all the teams wound up having 2 or 3 losses or something like that, just because they're so evenly balanced and beating the crap out of each other. But I don't know. Sometimes I think to myself that would be pretty cool to have everybody have like 2-3 losses, and then they come down and do all the calculations, and whoever gets to go to the playoff goes, and just like, you know what I mean? Like it would. Don't get me wrong. If I'm playing ball and I run the table and we win, yeah, we won. But if I got if I got 2 or 3 losses and I had to dig and scratch and fight and kick and take my fingers up and all kinds of crazy stuff to be able to keep playing, and I'm being held together with spit and duct tape and Gorilla Glue, and then at the end of the game, at the end of the season, I got the trophy. I think that's one of those things that means more to me.
Sounds a lot like NFL, in my opinion.
Great.
Yeah.
Sounds great. Yeah, it sounds like NFL, right? It sounds great, but you got other fans that are that are trying to fire the coach and get rid of the quarterback after you win a national championship. So
That's right.
there's going to be a lot of fans that are not for that. There's a reason why you go to the Alabamas and the Georgias, because you want to play 3 or 4 cupcakes in the beginning of the year and stomp them, and then get into the big time play. Like some fans are. I'm like you. I want to let's go 9-3 and gut it through, and we fought our way to the national championship. But a lot of fans are not like us. They're like, oh, we're supposed to win 10 games at minimum each year.
Yeah, that's
realistic. That's not realistic.
Yeah, losing to K-State this past weekend.
Oh yeah.
Like they want his head on a platter. He's a first-year coach, and they want his head on a platter for losing to K-State. So, anyway, my 2-minute warning is since I gave y'all, I let y'all have more of the floor. My 2-minute warning is drink more water is good for you. That's all I'm gonna say, and I'm being serious. That's my 2-minute warning. It's good for you. I've been drinking a whole lot more water here lately, and I was doing it very religiously earlier this year, and I felt great and I slept better, and I fell off the train because I love my Coca-Cola. I still have 1 or 2 a day, but I fell off the train, but I'm back on my water train. So drink more water. It's good for you. And that's going to do it for us, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, for this evening, this edition. Thank you so much for tuning in. Those of you that hung with us through the whole show, those of you that tuned in, Nate and Kate, thank y'all for stopping through. We appreciate you. Sean, why don't you, since we're at the end of the show, let everybody know where you're going to be tomorrow.
Tomorrow is going to be Washington Football Weekly at 8. Have not confirmed. That's talk to Alex. Potentially do college football update, recapping all the games around the league, and kind of looking into the Heisman race, to some of the coaches that have been fired, a la Herm Edwards, and how he was unceremoniously let go in the end zone. That was crazy.
Georgia Tech fired their coach also.
Yeah, Jeff Collins, and Scott Frost, obviously, and then Harsin, kind of asking the same questions you guys ask. So yeah, that's what That's what we got going on tomorrow.
All right, and then, well, thank you, sir, for joining us. We appreciate you. Colin, where you and we'll be back at some point this week to lead into the games of the week for this week. There was no player of the week or plays of the week this week. Not that there weren't any. I had the other segment and the thing didn't work, so we went on without it. We didn't plan for it, but that will be back next week. I have been Mr. Fingers. That is my guy, Colin P. from the DMV, and on behalf of the Godfather, right there, Mr. Sean Spencer, we appreciate each and every one of you for watching us this evening. We will be back. We'll see you later on this week. Take care, and go Dogs.
Go Dogs.
Tar Heels.
There you go.
I was going to say, I was waiting for it. Every other show you on, we keep cutting you off because we don't think you're going to say it. Then we give you the opportunity, and now you're just going to sit there. Now we gone. Bye.